Hello, my name is Andy, and I am the village idiot, and I'm armed with a car and a GoPro, and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. Welcome back to the district of Selby, despite the fact that I'm actually here, standing in the East Riding of Yorkshire, and to the parish of Carlton. Carlton is a village and civil parish in the Selby district of North Yorkshire. The village is situated approximately 5 miles southeast of the town of Selby on the A1041 road. Carlton is perhaps best known for Carlton Towers, one of Yorkshire's most beautiful venues for weddings and various other events each year, including an annual exhibition from Carlton Art Club. We'll get to that in a short while. Carlton enjoys close proximity to the M62, which makes it easy to join the A1, M1 and M180 whether you're going north, east, south or west. It's possible to commute to Doncaster, Leeds or York in under an hour. On top of this, Robin Hood Airport is just over 20 miles away. Once again, it's seriously cold today. I've just tried to stick my card on the village hall notice board, and once again it's another Featherstone situation. If you haven't watched that video, that card on that notice board wouldn't stick, and that one was very difficult to put on as well because of the ice. Hopefully it's going to warm up a little bit later. It's really cold out here. Its location on the A1041 means it's quite an easy place to miss, however, seeing as most traffic here is heading north or south towards Selby or to the motorway. I would imagine not many people stop here. There's something I didn't know about Carlton. It's a bit like Ouston Ferry. Look, we have like a little bus depot here. I wonder what bus company that's all about, or whether it's just a maintenance depot. No idea. However, with the ever-growing population thanks to some areas of new builds, that might soon be about to change. Around 1/3 of Carlton's residential properties are post-war infill, which have been built around the original ribbon-like settlement that was once strung along the A1041. This is typical of villages in the Selby area. The largest growth so far since the war came between 1962 and 1968, when the Broadacres housing estate was built. It remains, though, a pretty attractive village and hasn't yet been overwhelmed by a rapid influx of new residents. You get a good view of Drax Power Station from certain parts of the village too. Believe it or not, Carlton, despite its size, has very little online about it, although there was one document which I'll allude to later that perhaps gave too much information. For the most part, all the workable information I could find pertained to Carlton Towers, which is rather unsurprising given how much it dominates the village. I think I found some pretty interesting things otherwise, which include plenty of these. Plenty of little footpaths in Carlton. It's what you Yorkshire folk call ginnels. This one is Convent Walk, and it takes us towards the main road. Carlton is a common place name in the old Danelaw areas of the Midlands and the North, usually meaning farmstead or estate of the freemen or peasants. It derives from the old Scandinavian Carl. Now here's something I do happen to know about Carlton. Take a look at the name of this street. This is Himsworth Close. Now I would assume that this is so named because there used to be a farm either here or close to here called Himsworth Farm. The village was historically part of the West Riding of Yorkshire until 1974. Whilst Carlton Towers is full of history, sat as it is on a country estate dating back to the 1600s, the village itself has very little historically. There has, though, been a manor on these grounds since the 14th century. Mainly used for farming, it had a population of around 750 in the early 1870s. Today, it's a dormitory village with a slowly growing population. There used to be a farm on the corner of Lynwith Lane, which was used for potato packing. There's still a few farms dotted around even now. Back in the 1960s, the Carlton Towers estate was one of the large milk-producing farms in the area, and one of the first whose milk was collected by a bulk collection lorry from Northern Dairies and taken to a dairy at Adlockley Street in Doncaster. Notable people from Carlton include Arthur Hinsley, a Catholic cardinal and archbishop, and Thomas Thwing, a Catholic educator and conspiracist. For a much more detailed description of the village's history and its various character areas, I urge you to check the link in the description labelled Character Areas. That's the document I mentioned earlier. Numbering some 30 pages, it's written by Selby District Council and describes Carlton in much more detail, way more than I can fit into one video. According to the 2001 UK census, Carlton Parish had a population of 1,829, which increased to 1,934 at the 2011 census. Estimates now put Carlton's population at just over 2,000, thanks to it having those new build areas in the northwest, which I mentioned earlier. The average house in Carlton has a value of £213,000. The parish covers 13.47 square kilometres, and this gives it a population density of 151. It has a small Asian community, but generally speaking, Carlton has an ethnic makeup that's white British at 98%. Public transport is fairly good in the village. There used to be a railway station here, which we'll see later, but nowadays you'll be needing a bus. The 401 is your best bet between Selby and Goole. Within the village there are a couple of shops, as well as the Frying Nemo chip shop, seen here. There's a small supermarket, complete with a butcher's and a pizza takeaway department, and it's also home to the post office. This was quite the interesting retail facility too. This is Batter. It's a country store, which is basically an animal feed shop. This is actually a chain. There's 11 such stores across this part of Yorkshire. Carlton Village Hall is a registered charity run by the Village Hall Committee. The Village Hall can be found on the corner of Church Lane and Low Street. The hall has many facilities, including a large stage, a licensed bar, well-equipped kitchen and fenced football pitch, along with outside space directly accessible from the hall. The rate of hire for the main hall is £18 per hour. Holy Family Catholic High School is a secondary school located in the village. And then there's also Carlton Primary School, which was once called Carlton in Snaith Community Primary School prior to 2020. At the southern end of the village is Carlton Towers Cricket Club, which is right alongside the road. It's just one of the things that is known as Carlton Towers as opposed to just Carlton. Pubs next, and here in Carlton there are two pubs, the Foresters and The Oddfellows. Seen here is the Foresters, which has been known in the past by at least two other names, the George and the Oak and Vine. The latter of the two is arguably the much more interesting of the pair, due to its unusual spelling. During the 1980s, a mistake by a signwriter resulted in the incorrect spelling of the name Oddfellows. Until 1850, the Oddfellows was known as the Red Lion, and it's believed to have served the public here since 1750. So it even explains the odd, excuse the pun, name here on this little board. There you go. That explains everything, probably better than I ever could. And although it's not really a pub per se, Carlton also has a brewery and tap room too. To the northwest of the village, close to the newer build properties, there's a surgery, Beech Tree Surgery. Religious buildings next, and there are two churches dedicated to St Mary here. First up we have St Mary's Catholic Church. Externally quite plain, the gable cross over the chancel arch is a notable absence, and the bell from the small southwest bell turret now sits forlornly and vulnerably on the ground west of the south porch. The three light windows of the chancel and west nave are in perpendicular style. The two light windows of the nave are decorated. The presbytery appears to date mainly to 1842. There's a small flat-roofed boiler house just below the west window, and there's no west door. Entry has always been by the southwest porch. A little further south along Station Road is the other church. This is the Parish Church of St Mary. I couldn't find much information for this, so I'll just let the video do the talking. And practically dead opposite this church we have the old reading rooms. That's that building right there, and next door we have this building, which is an old school. Carlton also has a Methodist church as well, which has a Sunday morning worship and what's known as a Wednesday club, a social time mainly for the over 60s. This is a borehole, and you'll find it alongside one of the ginnels that we mentioned earlier. This particular ginnel runs between Almondtree Avenue and Lynwith Lane. Once again, the Trans-Pennine Trail makes an appearance. We haven't seen this for a while. National Route 62 makes up part of its route here through the village. Carlton Cemetery is difficult to miss. This is on the main A1041 road, close to Beechtree Surgery. Also situated on the A1041 and close to the shops, you'll find a small garden with the War Memorial in one corner. This is a relatively peaceful part of Carlton, despite being right next to the road. The memorial is inscribed on two sides, one detailing those lost in World War I and one detailing those lost in World War II. Okay, this next thing involves walking down here. Now, even though there are two signs that say this is private, here we go, look, private, no public access. This drive is private, trespassers will be prosecuted. Well, I'm okay, because I wrote to these guys and asked them if I could walk through here from one end to the other, and I have an email on my person right now if anybody sees me, so that I can prove I've got permission to do this. This is Carlton Towers. Carlton Towers is a Grade 1 listed Victorian stately home. The house was designed by Edward Welby Pugin and stands in a 250-acre estate. The house is the Yorkshire home of the 18th Duke of Norfolk, but since 1991 has been lived in and run by Lord Gerald Fitzalan Howard and his family. Lord Gerald is a younger brother of the current Duke of Norfolk. Although the family still live in part of the house, it's now largely used for wedding receptions and similar events, and has appeared on countless television programmes and in magazines. The house was rebuilt to its present form in 1873 by Henry Stapleton, the 9th Baron Beaumont, whose father, Miles Stapleton, the 8th Baron Beaumont, had in 1840 inherited the title Baron Beaumont in abeyance since 1507. It's known there has been a house on the site from at least the 14th century, but nothing visible remains, and there's no documentary record. Lady Beaumont owned Carlton until her death in 1971. During the Second World War, the house was used as an auxiliary military hospital, but was afterwards restored to its original condition. It's an absolutely magnificent building, isn't it? And, you know, with the skies being clear and the sun being out this morning, it really does show how beautiful a building it is. Carlton Towers, fantastic. The house has been used as the location of Hetton Abbey for the 1988 film version of Evelyn Waugh's novel A Handful of Dust. The South Australian Film Corporation also used the house in the film Like Minds, dating from 2006. The TV series Micawber, starring David Jason, used the house for filming, and the Darling Buds of May used the house in their show. Carlton Towers appeared as Chateau Brest in one of the episodes where the family was on holiday in France. Arguably one of Carlton's most prominent features is the old Carlton Bridge. Seen here from the Snaith side of the River Aire are the old bridge supports. This bridge was built mainly so that bodies could be taken from Carlton to Snaith Priory Church safely for burial. It was built in 1776 after an Act of Parliament was passed to allow Thomas Stapleton of Carlton to build it at a cost of £1,850. Before this existed, bodies were taken across by boat and a few were lost as a result. It was built as a toll bridge until a brand new iron bridge was built. With the advent of motor traffic, the new bridge was built in 1928. This was then replaced a few years ago with a new structure. When the iron bridge was repaired, the old bridge was opened up again on a temporary basis. On the other side of the river are the old toll houses. It's remarkable that this bridge could, if the will was there, be put back together to span the river. Carlton Towers railway station served the village of Carlton from 1885 to 1959 on the Hull and Barnsley Railway. The station opened as Carlton in 1885 and Towers was added onto its name on the 1st of July 1922. It would eventually close to passengers in 1932 and then to all traffic including goods in 1959. So that's pretty much it for the village of Carlton, but don't forget these parish boundaries are quite wide, encompassing a lot of land around the village. So today's picture bit may well include some things that are in that outlying land, and that's coming your way right now. And there you have it, that's the parish of Carlton in Selby. And in theory I could walk to my next village because it's literally just there. I can see it in front of the camera. But I will drive because I've got a specific route I want to follow with it. One thing for certain though with this next one is you will definitely get a good view of Drax power station from this. I can promise you that. Anyway, this has been the parish of Carlton in Selby, and I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.